In May of 2019, Mark Zuckerberg and his company Facebook released the Oculus Quest 1. At the time, this headset was a revolution in VR technology, as it became the first headset that was able to provide VR's biggest demand, which was a VR gameplay experience with 0 wires. At the time before this, VR was a very niche community in gaming, being only accessible to those who could afford the thousands of dollars in equipment and PC performance. But now, for $400, you could step into a virtual world and experience nothing like you've ever seen before. And fast forwarding to 2024, the conditions are now set for a second revolution in VR technology, which will solve today's biggest problem, that being an evolution in relevancy, otherwise known as a mainstream explosion. Continuing on from the intro, in order to understand why VR will explode, we'll have to find out what happened after the launch of the Quest 1. The Quest 1 in its early days launched with very few games and very few features. However, being a first-time product in its industry, it excelled at a lot of things that people didn't expect it to excel at. For example, even though the Quest 1 had only 4 GB of RAM, you would rarely experience lag and stuttering in most Quest 1 games. Along with that, its tracking was also relatively smooth. There would usually be no issues with the tracking, at least compared to its successors of today. And to top it all off, it also sported the best default head strap out of any of the MetaQuest products, meaning that you could be immersed in worlds for absolute hours with just what came in the box. However, not everything about this headset was beloved. To start, since developers had to fit a parameter of 4 GB of RAM, most new VR games came with majorly downgraded graphics, as PCVR players were no longer the main target. And sometimes this graphics downgrade would just stay in VR games, and PCVR players wouldn't even have an option to turn up their graphics, like for example in Onward. Along with that, towards the end of 2019, Meta was heavily pushing people to migrate their Oculus accounts over to Facebook accounts, which didn't sit well with the player base, as Facebook was notoriously known for tracking user data. But all in all, with those pros and cons combined, it was still estimated that the Oculus Quest 1 sold anywhere from 200,000 to 500,000 units. And now that VR was in the ears of the mainstream, it was time for Mark Zuckerberg and Meta to make their biggest announcement yet. On September 16th of 2020, Meta announced the launch of the Oculus Quest 2, a new revolutionary VR headset that could be bought for $300. This headset in the early 2020s became a staple of virtual reality and pushed it into mainstream media. By the end of 2021, more than 10 million headsets had been sold, and VR was experiencing its first explosion into major popularity. This for many was considered the peak of virtual reality, as from there, things went immediately downhill. Meta ended up making a bunch of bad decisions that ended up making its stock tank and people lose faith in virtual reality. And normally when a situation like this happens, people usually turn to the competitors to show the company that what they're doing is not right. However, in the case of virtual reality during the early 2020s, Meta was kind of the only accessible virtual reality headset. And so because of that, people basically just had to deal with whatever changes Meta made, whether they were good or bad. And coming into 2022 to 2023, the hype for virtual reality, despite Meta's best efforts, had started to fizzle out. But fast forward to June 1st of 2023, and the hype started to pick up again. And this was because Meta had announced the Quest 3, a new upgraded mixed reality focused device that wanted to bring both AR and VR into one headset. And with this short interest in VR once again, nobody could have expected what would have happened next. The Apple Vision Pro was Apple's take on a mixed reality headset. But as many of us know, Apple's reputation is taking existing technologies and features and making them at their absolute best. Sporting a $3,500 price tag, this thing is an absolute game changer. Because if Apple, the company that's known for continuing to stay mainstream, was to launch their own VR headset, virtual reality would officially have a place on the map in terms of relevancy. With high quality lenses in each individual eye, and sporting premium face tracking, eye tracking, and hand tracking, along with that voice recognition, the public could now get a true and physical idea of what VR could become at its full potential. And as if the hype wasn't already there enough, it's also being theorized that Valve, yes, Valve, the biggest innovator in gaming history, is also working on their own standalone VR headset, meaning that now in 2024, with the Vision Pro already out and the Quest 3 already launched, I think I can safely predict that 2024 will be a cultural revolution for virtual reality as we know it, with the entire landscape changing to fit the new products. And yeah, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. So if you did enjoy, then please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Because with that said, my name is Thrillseeker, thank you for watching, and I will be signing out. Peace.